So very much, Manu. Thank you so very much, Mano, for your very kind words. Most Venerable Swamin Vahansa, dear Dhamma friends, as always, it is a great pleasure, an honor, and a privilege to have this opportunity to share in whatever way possible the little we know and are interested in Dhamma. Some years ago, when I read Samyutta Nikaya, Labha Sakkara Samyutta, somehow it struck me very strongly. I felt a deep sense of fear, actually. And I thought that this is something that I would really like to share with people, with friends, with people I know, I respect. So then when Mano asked me whether I would like to do a Dhamma talk, immediately this topic came to my mind. I have not studied it in that detail. I only used it for another piece of work, but because it's something that deeply impressed upon me, I thought that might be something to discuss. And I'm also not going to present any deep Dhamma. It is like a story that's given in Labha Sakkara Samyutta of the Samyutta Nikaya. And as you know, Samyutta Nikaya is a very long Nikaya in the Sutta Pitaka, and the discourses are fairly small, very small. And a characteristic of Samyutta Nikaya is that connected discourses, that is a number of discourses given on a particular topic, are all brought together on a common topic. So this one, Labha Sakkara Samyutta, this translation is directly from Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, the Buddhist perspective on gains, honor, and praise. Gains, honor, and praise. What did the Buddha say, as recorded in Samyutta Nikaya, on these three things? Most of the discourses in this Samyutta was delivered by the Buddha when he was dwelling at Jetha's Grove, Anathapindika's park in Savatthi, Jethavanaramaya. So the most striking word at the beginning, throughout, the middle, and end is this one word, dreadful. Dreadful. Every discourse begins with this statement, or almost every discourse. Dreadful are gain, honor, praise. The first discourse even adds the words bitter wild. And I think most importantly, sort of finally, obstructive to achieving security from bondage. In other words, obstructive to achieving Nibbana, obstructive to traveling the path to Nibbana. So dreadful are gain, honor, praise, bitter, and they are bitter and wild. So that is the theme of this Samyutta Nikaya. I think there are some 40-odd little discourses there, and every single discourse runs on this theme. And then the Buddha says, having said that it is dreadful, train yourselves. How do we train ourselves? We will abandon the arisen gain, honor, and praise. We will not let the arisen gain, honor, and praise persist, obsessing our minds. So I think we can reflect on it for a while, because in one way or another, at some time or another, we do receive these things, or we want to receive them, we like them, but they are dreadful. So we need to train ourselves. That is the Buddha's advice. How do we train? So there are two components there. We will abandon the gain, honor, and praise that has already arisen. And we will not let that gain, honor, and praise that have arisen to persist, obsessing our minds. So the quality of this gain, honor, and praise is that it lingers in our minds and it obsesses our minds. We cling on to it. We keep going back to it. And we have to be aware of it. And when we do that, what happens is it brings disaster and calamity. Those are also words in the discourses. If we allow our mind, if we allow gain, honor, and praise to persist in our minds and to obsess in our minds, then there will be disaster and calamity. So it sort of starts with a serious warning. Then what is very beautiful, as in many discourses, is the amazing similes that the Buddha has used to illustrate this particular nature, the dreadful nature of gain, honor, and praise. The next discourse says this. A fisherman uses a hook with a bait. He throws it in the water, and then a fish that seeks this bait swallows it. And when that happens, the fisherman can take the fish and do whatever he wishes with the fish. That's the end of him. So in the discourse, the fisherman is compared to the Mara. Mara, he's the one who is throwing all these all these gains, profits, praises, etc. And the hook is like the bait. It's like the gain, honor, and praise. So once swallowed, then the rest is not up to you. It is up to others to do what they wish with you. So the fish who has swallowed the hook would meet with calamity and disaster. So these are two other words that are used in the discourses to emphasize the seriousness of honor, gain, praise, etc. So one whose mind is obsessed by those would meet with calamity and disaster. So it's a very strong message. Another, in fact, in the very next discourse, there's another simile. A goat with long hair. So this she-goat has long hair all over her body, and she's now walking into a thorny thicket, little forest area full of thorny plants. What's going to happen? So her long hair is going to get entangled with the thorny branches, and she will be pulled hither and thither. And there will be no way that she can turn back and come out safely. The Buddha says that is comparable to a person. In this case, actually, the reference is to a bhikkhu who is seeking these three dreadful things. So if a bhikkhu walks into a village, for example, and there will be people offering things, that's profit, that's gain. It might even be honor and praise. But such a bhikkhu, such a person gets hooked to those things, to those gains, profits, praises, etc. And the implication is then there will be calamity, there will be disaster. Another a simile is this dung beetle. Beetle that eats dung. So this beetle has a huge lump of dung, and very happily it is feeding away on the dung. It's very happy. It feels, I have eaten dung. I have eaten a lot of dung and my stomach is full of it. I'm happy. I'm lucky. And what that beetle does is, it despises the other beetles. It thinks of other beetles and tells them, look, you are not as fortunate as I am. You do not have such a lot of dung to feed on. So you all haven't done, something to deserve good dung. So he despises the other beetles. And this happens with human beings as well. So again, the example taken in that discourse is a bhikkhu who very fortunately goes to a village, and the people in the village provide the 4 requisites: a lot of food, clothing, shelter, medicines, everything. So he gets a good midday meal, and with lots of other things returns to his dwelling place and tells the other bhikkhus, look, I have had a very good meal today, and they have invited me tomorrow as well for a meal, and I have this, I have the other. You all are not lucky, you all haven't done good karma. And so saying, he looks down upon the other bhikkhus, other monks, and that leads to calamity and disaster. The Buddha also says in one of the discourses, who should get a thunderbolt? And then says, gain, honor, and praise is like a thunderbolt. To whom? To someone. And again, the reference is to a bhikkhu who has not yet gained his mind's idea. He's still either on the path or maybe not even that, but his mind is untamed and he has, in short, not achieved nibbana, not achieved maggaphala. So to such an untrained, uninstructed person whose mind is not yet, whose mind has not yet gained the ideal, to such a person, gain, honor, and praise is like a thunderbolt. The implication of this is, to someone whose mind has gained the ideal, in other words, someone who has achieved nibbana, severed the bondage from samsara, to such a person then, gain, honor, and praise may not be a thunderbolt, may not result in calamity and disaster. Not only a thunderbolt, Buddha also says it's like a poisoned dart. It's like a poisoned dart. When it hits a person, that's the end. That's it. Therefore, these are dreadful. Honor, gain, praise are dreadful. It's also compared to a bird who is caught in a gale wind. Gale winds, as we know, are very strong, powerful winds that are blowing away at very high speeds. So the trees bend, branches bend and break. if a bird is flying in the middle of such a gale wind, the bird's wings will flap in one direction, the tail in another direction, the head in still another direction, and very soon that bird will be destroyed. It is like a bird flung by gale winds is torn apart. In a similar way, so is a person whose mind is obsessed with and overcome by gain, honor, and praise. I think it is worth reflecting a bit on these words. It is not that everybody who gets, this is my interpretation, it is not even in the Atwa, it is not everybody who gets things, profits, and praise that meets calamity and disaster. It is a person whose mind is obsessed and overcome by gain, honor, and praise. So I think the implication there is, if someone gets these things, but doesn't get obsessed, that is not overcome by these, does not keep looking for them by any and all means, it is not that kind of person. In a way, we may be able to interpret it that way, but the key message is these are dreadful. They lead to disaster and calamity. The Buddha, as we all know, is able to, or was able to, see other people's minds with his parachitta vijanana jnana, ability to see other people's minds. So he had given in these discourses a couple of instances where he saw other people's behavior or what they were thinking. And here is an example of one person that he saw, and it says, whether he is showered with honor, shown dishonor, or offered both of these, his concentration does not vacillate, as he dwells in the measureless state where he meditates with perseverance and insight seer of subtle view, delighting in the destruction of clinging. They call him a truly superior man. So in fact, the person who can pursue, who can persevere the meditation, who sees, who has insights into the real nature of things, and who wants to destroy the clinging, that is a superior person. So that is the way the Buddha has tried to, or has emphasized the importance of getting, not getting overcome, not getting obsessed by these things of gain, honor, and praise. In another example, the Buddha says, so dreadful are honor, gain, and praise. He compares it like this, that a person who would not tell a deliberate lie for anything, really, even such a person could change and lie for gain, praise, and honor. So see how much there is for us to think about it. How much beings cling to these things or want these things. So a person who is offered a silver bowl full of gold may not lie usually, but if he's offered these things repeatedly, he may change and behave differently. So dreadful are honor, gain, and profit. when they come upon a training, it's an obstacle. Therefore, you should train yourselves. So the Buddha repeats that we should train ourselves. Then moving on to something slightly deeper, beyond these comparisons or similes, there is a verse that talks about understanding the gratification, the danger, and the escape of the origins, and the escape, and the origins, cessation, and the way leading to the cessation of gain, honor, and praise. Then those who understand this, the Buddha says, are ascetics, among ascetics, best of the best ascetics, and Brahmins, among Brahmins, a true Brahmin. So therefore, what is important is that once we reflect on these, we understand that gain, profit, honor are dreadful things. They lead to calamity and disaster. They can actually change a person to change from honorable behavior to base behavior. Then moving on from there, a person who can understand gratification of these things. There is a gratification, but there is also danger. And then there is a way to escape. The other thing to understand is the origin of gain, honor, and praise, how they cease, that they cease, and the way leading to that cessation. So a person who understands these things is a true ascetic and a true Brahmin. And in this very life, such a person can reach the goal of asceticism or and Brahmanism. Another example to illustrate how dreadful honor, gain, and profit are, the Buddha says, a person can take a very rough string, a cord made out of some rough material like horse's wool. And then a strong man ties the leg of a man very tightly, round and round like this. Then the Buddha says, what happens? What happens is that this rope would cut the outer skin, it would cut the inner skin, it would cut the flesh, sinews, bone, and marrow. So dreadful are gain, honor, and profit. Those three things also do the same thing to a person. Therefore, we should train ourselves. Buddha referred to Devadatta in one of the discussions and said, Devadatta was, or Devadatta met with calamity and disaster because he was searching for gain, honor, and praise. How did that happen? I think we all know the story. He had followers who came to see him every day with so many gifts, etc. And because he wanted to get everything for himself, he caused a schism in Sangha. He brought about a division in the Sangha. And this was a major unwholesome thing. And therefore his wholesome roots, his wholesome nature, and his bright nature was all cut off. Devadatta could have achieved Nibbana, could have reached Nibbana in that life if that did not happen. So it is said that today he is in a very deep, unwholesome place, apaya niraya. So that's a very That's an example to finally illustrate how dreadful this can be. Then there is a verse again, which describes the nature of honor and praise and gain. This is what it says: as its own fruit brings destruction to the plantain, bamboo, and reed, as its embryo destroys the mole, so do honors destroy the scoundrel. This is how Devadatta's behavior was compared. One's own self, one's own gain, profit, honor can destroy oneself, like a plantain tree is destroyed by its own fruit, and the same with bamboo, reed, etc. So, in the last verse also, the same words that the Sanyukta started with is repeated. Gain, honor, and praise, they are bitter and vile, and they obstruct the achieving of security from bondage. And therefore, what do we need to do? We need to train ourselves. We need to tell ourselves, and we need to take action to abandon the gain, honor, and praise that has arisen in us, and make a great effort, samma vayama, not to let the gain, honor, and praise that have arisen to persist, obsessing our minds. So this is all the, not all, a few have been left out because they are quite similar. So the examples and the danger of gain, honor, and praise, the calamity and disaster that they can bring to a person, and therefore the need to train ourselves. The calamity and the disaster can be anything like being born in a place where there is no opportunity to escape for long time, like a niraya, and also to be not able to achieve nibbana or to break away from the bondage of samsara. So dangerous, so dreadful are these things. Therefore, we need to be conscious when we receive profits, honor, praise. We need to be very conscious of them. We need to understand their nature, how they arise, how they cease, and the way to cease. We need to understand that that there is a pleasure in them, but there is also danger. So having understood that, we need to be able to train ourselves. So may you then all be able to abandon any gain, honor, and praise that may arise. May you all be able to train yourselves to refrain from allowing gain, honor, and praise to persist and obsess your minds. Thank you very much for your patient listening.